family, Sister Shanice in the house for another edition of Ghana Focus. This is where we focus on all things Ghana, political, economic, social, religious. We have a range of topics, but they all revolve around Ghana. Well, today we're going to be talking about the Pan-African event that was scheduled to take place on Sunday, the 7th of January, but was actually cancelled hours before the event was due to take place. And there were some big headliners, some Pan-Africanists who had traveled from some considerable distance to be at this event. There was Dr. Arikana from Zimbabwe, PLO Lumba from Kenya, Julius Malema was expected to fly from South Africa, and Peter Obi. And, there were members of the diaspora who had traveled some considerable distance to be at the event, but it was cancelled, as I said, within hours. The government had made a decision that the event was not going to go ahead. Apparently, there was another event that had been scheduled to happen at the venue, and seems they didn't even know about it the day before, so they could have warned the organisers. Brother Kwame, Osei, and Nkrabea are with me in the studio to comment on this situation. Firstly, let's bring in Brother Kwame. Brother Kwame, he is a journalist, a broadcaster, writer, social commentator. Brother Kwame, what are your views and perspectives on this, short-sighted cancellation?
Yeah, first of all, greetings to the listenership and greetings to yourself, Sister, and greetings to my older Ras Aswad, Nkrabea. For me, it doesn't come as a surprise because we have to call a spade a spade. This is a neo-colonial government that does not have the interests of Ghanaians at heart. They say they are a Pan-African government, but by their actions, it's quite clear and obvious that they are not a Pan-African government. Because if you were a Pan-African government, then you would be quite welcoming this particular conference that is talking about Pan-Africanism and how the youth can become more engaged within Pan-Africanism. And then to call such event of this magnitude off, because let's not forget, a lot of people, like you say, from the diaspora came in, a lot of big names were coming in as well, so that is tourism revenue for the country, and that is bringing a lot of revenue for the country. So why would you cancel such an event? Also, we stated that the booking was made as far back as November last year. Yeah, so that's a good 2 months before the actual event. So the government knew that this event was taking place, and they actually, confirmed the booking had been made. At that time, there was no so-called state meeting to be held on the 7th of January. So to be cancelled all of a sudden, of the, quite futile excuse that, there was a government function on the same day, I smell a rat here. And our people need to cross the dots and cross the T's and put two and two together and show that, for me, this was a deliberate attempt by the government of Ghana to silence the Pan-African voice in Ghana. And also to nullify the consciousness that will emanate from this conference, particularly within the election year. Let's not forget, this year is the election year in Ghana. And this government is very afraid that some kind of uprising may happen before its term expires in December this year. So these are all part and parcel for me as to why they had to act quickly to shut down this conference before it taking place. Because for them, it was too big a risk to have this conference in Ghana at this time, given the election year. And also, we know that the colonialists, i.e. the West, have a hand in this, because let's not forget, one of the main speakers, Dr. Arikana Chimboro, has been quite critical of the French involvement in Africa. Yeah, and let's not forget, she was the AU head of the diaspora, and apparently she was, as this had this role, she had a very, very prominent role, and she used that role to good effect, particularly by condemning the French role in Africa, saying how French is squeezing these 14 African countries by taking 1.5 trillion euros out of them, and how France is complicit in some of the clandestine activities within these African countries, these 14 African countries. And so, we know that, particularly French are not a great fan of Dr. Nkrabea, and it was even suggested that they may have had a hand in her being removed from that powerful position that she had as being a chair of the AU to the diaspora. So for me, it just smells of classic neocolonialism, as the subject warned us. That for me is at hand in this conference being called off at the last minute.
Thank you so much, Brother Kwame Osei. And let's hear from Brother Nkrabea, Deputy CEO of Empire Agri Ghana Limited, also mobilizing Director of Food Sovereignty Ghana, social and political activist. Brother Nkrabea, do you share the same views as Brother Kwame Osei, or do you have a different take on why you think it is that the Ghanaian government cancelled this event within hours of it due to taking place? Is it typical because they're a neo-colonial puppet government, or, and as Brother Kwame says, he smells a rat, or do you think that there were totally genuine reasons why the government needed to cancel because it needed to hold a meeting at the same venue at the same time? What are your views on this?
All right. There are two sides to the issue. I am in full agreement with what Brother Kwame just said in terms of the fact that as a neo-colonial government, they are very scared and very worried and apprehensive of any kind of conscious resistance or conscious exposure to the youth, especially now that the election is coming up. So he's very, very right in terms of, that description of who they are and the possibility of why they have canceled it. The second aspect of it is that I think that the organizers, they left some loose ends open that gave the government an opportunity to cancel it. And the reason why I'm saying that is that they should have from the beginning come out plain and clear that we are launching a political party. And if they refuse to give them that venue, then they find another venue to do that. I've never seen any kind of political party use that particular location for that kind of event. So if it was an issue of the location, then yes, they could, go to another event, another location to have their event. So the fact that the government recognized at the last minute that they were going to launch this political party, they use that as a pretext to come in and cancel it. They are not saying that's exactly what their intention was, but basically that's what it is. They got scared because these powerful speakers, Pan-Africanists, were coming there. And one must remember that these people have been speaking about social and political issues for the longest while in a very forceful and effective way that gets serious results and attention. So clearly, if they had allowed that event to happen, the NPP would have been weakened tremendously, mainly because of how they're handling the political and economic situation of Ghana right now. So they didn't want speakers like that to come out and nail it and call a spade, because we all know the three speakers. I am not so much familiar with Peter Obi, but I know there are three speakers are powerful speakers who would hit the nail on the head, and they didn't want to face that. And all these three speakers have been speaking on the issue of Africa's resources belong to Africa, and they have seen what is happening in Ghana. They have seen how we have sold out the nation resources for next to nothing, and the corruption and all of those things that are happening in Ghana. So clearly, they would touch on those issues, and they couldn't afford that. So as a result of that, they used that little loophole that was left there because of the fact that the organizers did not come out plain and clear and tell them we are going to launch a political party, right? So they capitalize on that, and they use that to shut it down. But even though they shut it down, that it has a very strong impact, because what it has shown is that the government is weak, the government is vulnerable, the government is scared, The government is paranoid, right? And it's a reason why they are like that, because they have not been able to deliver on the promises that they have told Ghanaians that they are going to deliver on, and they are getting scared and scared more and more. Now we are back with dumso every minute. Again, right? So there are so many issues that the government is not dealing with, that they recognize that they were complicit in all of these corruptions, that surely the speakers would have touched on that. So basically what Brother Kwame is saying is correct, you know. We have seen where when I was in Jamaica in the 70s, we brought Samora Machel from Mozambique. Powerful speaker. But it was announced months in advance that Samora Machel will be coming on the PNP platform to deliver a message, etc., etc. So the nation was prepared. And this is what I think that the organizers should have done. They should have prepared a proper platform for these people, not for them to be sneaking through the background, through the back door, and cause this embarrassment to them, so on and so forth. Because it was very embarrassing, because they come from so far and ready to deliver. And because of the fact that they didn't tighten up on those loopholes, they allowed these people to face that kind of embarrassment, etc. Because when the questions were asked, you see that Dr. Sharon Boris said that, oh, she didn't know anything that, you know, they were going to launch a political party. She didn't know that this man is a millionaire. All these things are new stuff to her, right? And the other two agreed to it, basically. It shouldn't have been that situation where they were kept in the dark like that. It should have been an upfront situation, ready to launch a political party. These are the plans. These are the strategies. Plain, straight and straightforward. Present it to the government, get the venue, and then move forward, right? But the government could have even if they want to curtail it, they have enough police and soldiers there to just come out and give protection and security to the people at the event. They could have done that if they wanted to do, but clearly they wanted to shut it down. And just like I've said, you know, I have seen Samora Machel spoke in Jamaica. I've seen Fidel Castro, and I've seen Louis Farrakhan. All these speakers came, but it was properly advertised and a proper platform was created for them, and you prepare the nation, because the masses is your protection. So you cannot leave them in the dark when you have events. Like, it's very important for the masses to be aware so that they come and prepare and provide even protection for these speakers. The speakers are vulnerable. If something had gone down there wouldn't be any kind of protection for these speakers, because the organizers was not prepared with their own security and with an understanding that this neo-colonial state would have gone that far to bring out helicopters, bring out all these military and police force to shut it down. So it is a new lesson for them to learn. My thing now on the leadership of that organization, I'm not sure if this brother is credible enough or eligible enough for the position that he's seeking. He said that he's a redeemer, or he's a salvation then of Africa and for Ghanaians, right? He spoke a lot about Kwame Nkrumah, but if you remember when Kwame Nkrumah came to Ghana, what he did, he went on the ground and he moved from community to community to community. Even sometimes the car broke down and he had to jump on public transport to go to the next village to mobilize among the working and oppressed people, among the peasants, among the union movement, so on and so forth. If this brother really wants to seriously have a strong position here in Ghana as a leader to lead the country in a certain direction, he needs to start from the ground, right? And go through the necessary oppressed and working class institutions and build it from there. The Zungus are there and all those things. Start there, and then you can launch your political party with constituencies coming out behind you. I didn't see that in his intention to come out, right? Build from the ground up. So that's my position on that. I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen the next couple of months where that organization, the New African Foundation, is concerned.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Brother Nkrabea, for that really insightful perspective on the situation. So, you know, I think most of us know that they were actually planning to launch a political party on the day, and they wanted to do that in the government's own backyard. You know, do you think maybe they should have organized a private venue or a non-governmental building in order to house that event.
No,
Some
Sister
say,
Shanish, when you apply for any kind of public engagement, whether it's a march, a demonstration, or a rally or whatever, they give you a form to fill. And on that form, they ask you certain questions. How many miles you're going to march, which street you're going to take, where and where you're going to go, so on and so forth. They use that to decide how many police they need to bring on the road to give you protection, because they're supposed to protect you, really. They're supposed to protect the marchers on the street and the communities. That's really their duty. So you're supposed to give them all those details, clear details as regards to what you're going to do. And I think this is where the organizers feel that they didn't tell them clearly what they were going to do. And that just gave them the excuse rather to come in and quash the whole thing.
Well, it certainly didn't catch them off guard in terms of their ability to provide security. You said they even had helicopters. So
yeah, they had helicopters flying around.
Security there. Let's go back to Kwame Osei, get some final remarks on this. Kwame Osei, you heard what Brother Nkrabea had to say. Largely agrees with you. Government's running scared, terrified because elections are coming up. It's out there in the open, the corruption, the failure of this government to deliver on its promises. The last thing they would want right now is to have any serious competition. And, with the big high four speakers that they had coming over, we're all very aware of the credibility they've got across the Pan-African community amongst the youth. There could have been some serious competition for this government. So now maybe they've been shaken a little bit in their boots. What are we expecting going forward from this government? Are things going to change? Are things going to suddenly get better? What are your thoughts on this now?
Well, we know that as it's election year, and as per usual, what the ruling government does, or the ruling party does, is to try and increase expenditure. So what we're going to happen in the next few months, what I can see is that they're going to try and do some developmental work, i.e. build a road, a school here and there, to try and win the minds of the people. They will probably also try and bribe the people, because we even saw that in the ruling government's primaries, we saw people dish out money. This is money that was state money that could be used for developmental programs, were given by the members of the ruling party to its constituents to vote in their primaries. So we can see some vote buying going on, and vote buying is a big contention right now in Ghana. So I can see that, but for me, it doesn't matter what this government would do. The last 7.5 years have shown that this government has been one, if not the worst government in Ghana. And we see it with the high inflation, and it's still high at 26.5%, because let's not forget, March of 2022, so it's only about a year and a half ago, inflation was about 14-15%. So it's still very high from where it was. The Ghana cedi, which is a currency, has doubled in 2 years. Okay, the value has doubled in 2 years. We see that interest rates have tripled in 2 years. And that's brought about a massive cost of living crisis in Ghana that has culminated in this now power outages that we're seeing across the country. And so this government is very, very unpopular right now. And I don't think that it can do anything to salvage its bid to so-called break the eight. They will try any means necessary to try to hoodwink the people. But I think the Ghanaians are now smart enough and are now savvy enough to understand that this government has not delivered on its promises over the last 7 and a bit years. In actual fact, it's been litany of broken promises, that has impacted the quality of life of the ordinary Ghanaian, to such an extent now that Ghanaians are seeing now Dumsot, which is on-off lights, and that hasn't happened for quite a time. And this government was boasting that, unlike the last government, there was no Dumsot, but now we see, the effects of their corruption in terms of the whole electric company of Ghana, where now you have Dumsot. So in closing, I don't think this government can do anything to appease the minds of the people apart from its core supporters. The core supporters will vote for this government come what may. But the majority
Yeah,
of people who
exactly.
are discerning and who are right-minded thinking, and there are similar damage over the last 7 years, particularly to their own pockets, will realize that come December the 7th, right, this government needs to be voted out for the good of Ghanaians and for the betterment of the country, because another 4 years of this government, given the situation the country finds itself, i.e. going to get a loan from the IMF, I don't think Ghanaians can understand the consequences of another 4 years of this government. So I don't have any, fear that people will be swayed by what the tricks this government is going to do between now and election day.
Thank you very much. Well, you heard it, family, from our analysts here and our commentators. Ghana's in serious trouble. It's out there, the corruption, the failure of this government. They're running scared. They realize, that there is potential competition here. And we don't think there's very much that they can do between now and election time to win over the votes of their citizens. We will be watching this space. Keep it locked to Ghana Focus, where we focus on what's going on in Ghana. And in case you're wondering what that is up there, it is an online 6-week British history study course that we're going to be starting very soon. So go to Gumroad and make sure that you enroll for this very insightful program. We're going to be uncovering some hidden British history. So family, thank you so much for locking in. Keep it locked. We will be back with another episode of Ghana Focus very soon. More love, more strength, more Budum power. Sister Shanice and guests out of here for now. Bye for now.